Greetings, everyone. Peace and blessings. Happy Saturday. How are you guys doing today? Saturday is the day that Saturn governs. Well, first of all, I am the Moon Mama, and I'm an astrologer and a life coach. My work is designed to help people, especially women, access their true codes, like who you are really meant to be and how you're really meant to function. It's a profound thing to recognize that we have been like indoctrinated and conditioned into ways of being that have us thinking we're something that we're not. It's as if a dog would be coded to behave like a cow. And you would see the dog walking around being like, moo, but you would know, like, that's a dog. It shouldn't be behaving that way. Well, that's how many of us are as humans. We have been conditioned to function in ways that we're not meant to function, and we don't even know it. We might feel off. It might feel like a pebble in your shoe where you're like, things are not just right. I'm not where I'm meant to be, but you don't know exactly how to get to where you're meant to be or exactly what's happening. And my job is to help you through understanding your natal chart, your natural God-given codes, understanding that how to help you get to how you're meant to function and where you're meant to be. And so that is the work that I do. So I am the Moon Mama. My spiritual name is Amina, which means faith and trust. And I am here to walk you home to yourself. I wanted to come in today and share. Today is a Saturn day, and I use astrology as a tool to help me understand the cosmos and how the cosmic energy is inviting us to function. And currently right now, the Saturn, the ruler of today, Saturn, about discipline, structure, focus, foundations, is in Pisces, which is this nebulous energy that's like the subconscious and the dream world, and mental health and the your belief system. And so what we are doing while Saturn is in Pisces is we are releasing the parts of ourselves that would have us be lost and confused and delusional about who we really are. Now, the thing that's a trip about most of this work is that in this Western world, we have been conditioned to ignore the invisible things, the things that we feel. We've been told that what you feel doesn't matter and what you see takes precedent. Now, that is the challenge because what we see is only 10% of what's really real. What's invisible is 90%. And so the thing that we want to begin to do is open ourselves up into the invisible realm. And that requires trust, that requires moving through fears, that requires having a more adventurous spirit, being willing to take risks, that requires being, open, like being vulnerable and trusting that the universe has your best interest at heart. Now, I wanted to come today to talk about some of the challenges that I see when I'm working with clients. What are the things that I see in my work with people that I wanted to share with others that might help them along in their spiritual journeys? And the profound thing that I see right now is people are hung up they're hung up because there is unforgiveness in the space. There's a great deal of shame, judgment, and guilt. And this is very challenging because the cosmology, which includes generations ago and ancestors, and the astrology helps me see that we are coming out of the Dark Ages. And the Dark Ages is a location, the Earth's location to the sun. Where is the Earth located to the sun? And then how is light actually penetrating? And we all know that when we go out in the sun, if you look around, you're going to see your shadow somewhere. And we all cast a shadow. Now, I'm talking about, the way I'm talking about it is in the physical realm, but we also cast a shadow in our spiritual realm, which includes karma, ancestral patterns, past lives. And so what happens in real time is you might be experiencing something like maybe you're having a relationship challenge, like you and your partner are not getting along, or you can't you can't have a good time in relationships. But that could be because it's an ancestral trauma that was passed down. And you are looking at it through the lens of your ego, which it says, what's going on with me? Why are they doing this to me? Why is this happening to me? Right? And that's not what's really happening. What's really happening is you have inherited your great-great-grandmother's or your great-great-grandfather's unfinished business, and it's showing up in your relationships. And so now you're on the phone talking to your friend about something your partner did or something, and it's not really that, but then you're creating that because you're putting your attention on it in that way. And my work is to help you see it for what it really is, and not for the illusion that is presenting itself as this partner is doing something to you. What you're really working with is 7 generations of challenging relationships with the women because they didn't have the power to really be themselves. They didn't have the voice to speak up. They didn't have the tools that they needed in order to feel completely safe in the world. And you inherited that. But now it's a different time. And now you can begin to fully actualize and heal those patterns and use the new tools, but you don't know it because they are invisible. Those tools, intuition is invisible, psychic abilities are invisible, ancestors are invisible, and you are relying in an old way. You're taking an old problem and using old tools rather than using the new spiritual tools that are available for you. And so what I see is that most people are carrying shame that could have come from generations ago. Like I was working with a client who was having a lot of challenges with men. And once we got really down to the nitty gritty, we recognized that she was carrying a pattern because her grandmother was murdered by a man. And so she was carrying a pattern of anger and rage with men because it was unfinished in her lineage because of her grandmother, right? The same is true for money things and health things. Like you might be dealing with the physical experience of diabetes, but really what's happening is that you're living with unforgiveness and not being able to fully access in your emotional body something that really feels good to you. So you overcompensate with that desire to experience deep pleasure with eating sugar, which has then impacted you creating an experience of diabetes. It's showing up in the physical world in one way, but spiritually it's really something else. And so what I'm recognizing is that people must face their shame. And these are the hardest things to do because you might feel like, you have shame around your sexuality, but it's really not yours. It's just showing up in your reality because of the generational karma, the 7 generations back. Like maybe your grandmother was raped or your great-great-grandmother was raped and it was never talked about and discussed. So she carried it with her and now it's landed in your experience and you're having a hard time in relationships. This stuff is so complex. And I'm just grateful that I have a perspective and an understanding and a tool to be able to work with it. So I encourage you, do the work in the areas where you feel shame. Like face it, question it, dig it up, get curious about it. Why am I feeling this? The places that you feel guilt and unforgiveness. Go beyond the physical world. Go beyond the story that you're telling yourself and ask deeper questions. And if you need support, I'm the Moon Mama. You can go to my website, healwithmoonmama.com, and I will be happy to support you. Peace and blessings, everyone. Have a really beautiful day. Bye-bye.